Hey everyone, welcome to this new moon Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for October 8th and 9th, 2018. Alright, so new moon in Virgo here this early part of the week. If you were expecting me to say Libra, be sure to check out the link down below. We are using the actual size of the constellations, which does change the signs from mainstream astrology. Alright, so new time of integrating Virgo qualities. Essentially, it's a very earthy time. We've already had a lot of energy here. But this time of now implementing and integrating some of this newness. So it could have to do with refinement. Virgo is all about refining ourselves, doing things sort of repeatedly, continuously until we become good at them or they become integrated into our habits or our routine. Really good for this improvement-oriented side of ourselves and really just focusing on what we do have control over, which is essentially ourself and our environment, and letting go of what we don't have control over, which is bringing in that Pisces influence. So with this new moon, we do have a square up to Pluto, so there could be some deep energy associated with this. Great for empowerment, though. And a trine up to Mars, supporting a bit of directness and assertiveness, actually, with this as well. All right, so let's take a look at all of this here in more detail when we return. All right, so here's the chart for the new moon. Here is the new moon, sun and moon conjunction right in the middle of the constellation Virgo. The new moon will be at 23:42 Eastern time of the Americas on October 8th. So that's Monday, October 8th in the evening for those of us in the Americas, and it'll be on Tuesday for most of the rest of the world there. All right, so new beginnings, a great time leading into it as we approach it to always sort of do a bit of clearing. We're ending the previous lunar cycle and starting a new one. It's usually a bit of a lowered energy time that we want to do that clearing so that we can be receptive and really acclimate to these new energies. So the new energies is this collective now integration for each of us. These Virgo qualities. Down below, I will put which house this is for your sign if you do want to check that out for more information on specifically which area this new beginning is, this new integration. But collectively, it is about developing the qualities of Virgo. So Virgo, the maiden, is all about doing the work, right? The day-to-day routine. What are our habits like, right? What is our routine like? Do we have this improvement-oriented aspect, this refining-oriented aspect to life? Because it's through doing things on a regular basis that really is who we are. It really is the way we develop ourselves. It really is the, who we are is a byproduct of our habits and our routines. So it's a great time to really be asking ourselves, what are we doing on a regular basis? What are our habits like? How can we start to, in this new beginning, maybe do some new things in a consistent, repeated way that are some maybe new habits that we want to develop or new routines, right? And get into this refining energy because, again, it's through the continuous refinement that this develops. So great time for this. Also just striving towards improvement, right? Sort of seeing the ideal. And this is where we come into the opposition of Pisces, where Virgo is striving towards that ideal. It's the physical ideal, right? So there's no perfection in the way that we want it, the way that we might think about it, right? There's no way to achieve this perfect self in the physical realm that we have in our minds, but it's great to strive towards that, right? And develop the best version of ourselves, right? And the best version of our life, you could say as well. And then bringing in the Pisces is surrendering everything else. So understanding that there is divine perfection. There is perfection beyond the human mind and beyond our understanding of things. And so surrendering that can really help balance it out as well. So that's the improvement side of it. And then just fundamentally, Virgo is about developing what we do have control over, right? And with Pisces, surrendering what we don't have control over. So fundamentally, what we do have control over is ourselves. It's our routine. It's these things in our immediate environment, right? It's our lives and the way that we shape them. So focusing on what we do have control over is excellent with this. And then remembering to surrender what we don't have control over with Pisces. All right, so this is a great time for this. Just generally, great time for that refining energy, refinement of our personality, seeing that improvement-oriented aspect of ourselves, this pragmatic and detail-oriented aspect of ourselves, and just seeing where we can do the work with personal development and with the development of our lives. All right, so with this new moon, we do have this square up to Pluto in Sagittarius. So there is this deep transformation likely occurring collectively with this. Essentially what it might feel like is that it might be challenging to create or take some action towards some changes, some deep changes that maybe we feel like we need to make or life is prompting us to make. And so through this willingness to change, we can really embody the Plutonic energy. And that's really what we want to do during squares, is set the intention and do it consciously. So another great question to ask with the new moon is there anything that you can do to empower yourself to make some changes with that it might require facing some fears and doing some things that are maybe uncomfortable, but your inner guidance and your true self might be prompting you to make? Excellent time for this. Excellent time for facing fears, empowering ourselves through this sort of intention. It might be action. It might also be inaction, and maybe a receptive thing we can do. So it is intention, but not necessarily doing. It might be inner work, right? In fact, always with Pluto, great time to do the inner work, face our fears, face our shadows, our shadow self, dive deep, accept, right? Accept the fears, accept the deeper aspects of ourself and of life. Go into the cave, so to speak, metaphorically, and pull out the treasure. Because it's within, it's through this acceptance that we transform, and we become more holistic and more integrated. So great time for that kind of inner work, but also externally as well. If there is anything that you can feel like you can empower yourself to do through facing some fears, excellent time to perhaps set some intentions. Now do give it time, of course. Again, the new moon is the lowered energy of the lunar month. We're going to be, essentially this whole lunar cycle is going to be about this type of energy. It's going to be flavored in this way. So give it time, between now and I'd say the next week before we get to the first quarter phase. Good to just kind of sit with the energy and maybe take some slow and steady steps. All right, now there is a trine up to Mars, which actually is quite empowering in a supportive sense, an easy aspect here with Mars and Capricorn. So we could be quite direct with this new moon, maybe a bit active oriented, in fact, maybe quite expressive, like we can express ourselves, express our needs. And with the Capricorn energy, it can actually be quite stable and quite productive when it comes to, our goals, asserting ourselves, taking action, things like that. In fact, we have a lot of earth energy. Venus recently went retrograde back into Virgo. We have all these planets, new moon, Mercury in Virgo, which is that refining earth energy, and Mars in Capricorn. So all of the personal planets in earth signs right now. But with the Mars, it's stable, it's stabilizing, it's, steps, having this sort of grounded approach to taking action and setting intentions. All right, so that's the new moon in a nutshell. In terms of the aspects, no major aspects going exact, coinciding with the new moon. The new moon will be at 2342, right here on the cusp between Monday and Tuesday, the 8th and 9th. You can do the calculation wherever you are in the world there. These are some of the aspects we talked about with the new moon. And then going into what will be Wednesday here, Venus is going to start to square up to Mars again, because she did just go retrograde. She's going to pass over this point in the sky again. This first happened around September 8th, but this is now another step in the right direction in terms of really a great time to really be developing our relationships. In fact, with Venus retrograde, it's a great time to be right now mulling over and reconsidering our relationship life and our approach to relationships, and even how we can improve perhaps in relationships or in connecting and things like this with the retrograde in Virgo. But either way, with this square, and we'll probably feel this mostly on Wednesday, I'll do the daily forecast for that. But we may feel the later part of Tuesday, this bit of integration needed with relationships. It's really good to be conscious about them. Again, be reconsidering, so be flexible and adaptive with them. And anything we can do to set intentions to be both assertive, which we do have the trine to Mars with, that supportive Mars energy. So to be assertive, but consciously. And then to also be receptive as well in those relationships. So bring in the masculine, feminine, yin yang, Mars, Venus with intention into relationships. All right, everyone. So that's the new moon forecast. Most importantly, just a great time to sit with the energy. Do check below to see which house this is for you. See what's new shaping up. Give it some time. But great time for developing this sort of refinement oriented on life. This, how can we do the work with the healthy habits, the routine, improvement orientation, and focusing on what we do have control over. All right, so everyone have a fantastic new moon. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you all on Tuesday for the daily forecast. Take care.